All right, welcome back, folks, to another edition of the MLB Inside The Diamond podcast. I'm your host, Tom Johnston, and as always, joining me is Lamarr Fields. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. I can't complain. And you?
It's just another lovely day in paradise. With all the baseball action going down. So, first, without further ado, we're going to get into it. Shortstops. This one was a very interesting list, to say the least. I really had to kind of do some soul searching myself, but go ahead, Lamarr, throw it down.
Yeah, I did a little soul searching too, but I went with my top 5 names that came to my mind, and knowing I left people off, so I got A-Rod, Jeter, Cal Ripken, Barry Larkin, and Ozzie Smith.
Yeah, I could see I could see that. I'm actually gonna kind of go a little different route. I got Jeter, I got Cal Ripken in there too. I have to throw Jack Wilson in there just because he was a former Pirate, but
Jack Wilson.
I love the way this guy plays the game and the nickname Jumpin' Jack Flash. Like that guy he would light up the ballpark in any sort of fashion. And I honestly just love the way he went out and played defense. Another one I would say is kind of like a little out there, Nomar Garciaparra. I admired how the guy played the game and stuff like that. That's probably 4. My 5th one. I didn't really put much thought into a 5th one, to be honest with you, just because I was really just busy trying to figure out like the first 4. And then I'm just like, you know what? I'll go past my time just because, I really just, love the dude and admire the way he played Barry Larkin. There's guys that I got to pay respect to before my time. It's just, hey,
Barry
Larkin's
probably my favorite shortstop all time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, on some of these, they really just kind of like get you and like, oh, man. And this is in no particular order, folks. This is just the top 5. But, sometimes you really go before your time, you just say, man, all the videos and all that stuff. Like, man, I really admire how this guy played the game because, like, even to spin off of this, let's talk about like how pivotal the position at shortstop really is for just about anyone. I mean, you have to think is that position alone, you have to have a lot of range, and you really have to be one of the most durable guys on the infield because you are asked to cover I like how they like to use the terminology at third base, the hot corner. I like to use the terminology at shortstop as like the hot spot because no matter what, shortstops are involved in a lot of plays, double plays or anything like that, like shortstops are involved in. And usually you have to have the strongest arm in the infield at shortstop at least. Some people think it's third base, but in my opinion, I think it's shortstop, because sometimes whenever you get a ball that's really in the hole on the left side at the shortstop and you're the last guy to get it, you really have to be able to fire that ball at an angle to get it to first base in time. And you really just got to admire what shortstops got to go through to really, entertain fans and really just show that they're on top of the game. Now, it's going to get interesting because baseball's getting interesting. And for plenty of reasons, there have been, like, say, the Angels and Mike Trout. For those of you hiding under a rock, he's kind of homered in, like, I don't know, what is it, like his last 5+ at bats? I mean, he went hard against the Mariners over the weekend. I think that's like that's kind of like his prey to an extent in the AL West. He just loves hitting against the Mariners. And to be honest with you, seeing some of the home runs that I saw him hit against the Mariners, it's like these are just not just like your average home runs. These are like legit long shots, like some of the deepest parts of the field. I don't even know what they call that field nowadays. Like, I don't even know what the field up in Seattle is called because it's been called Safeco for a long time, and then like they probably switched it like twice. I really don't. They changed the names of these ballparks too much. But anyway, just to see where this guy where he's putting all these baseballs and these home runs. It's like this guy's got a lot of raw power. I'm thankful he's really not injured because the Angels really need this kind of guy in the lineup. And, not saying that, at the end of the day, it's going to make a difference. But here's what I will say is that the little ground you make up now can actually prove to be something in the future. But like we always say, baseball is a tough sport. It's especially like the first 2 months. What?
Yeah, it's just a waste of time. Putting up big numbers, but his team's losing every year.
Exactly.
Just keep that same energy. Keep everybody else. He's been losing every year. He hit home runs and probably maybe the best baseball player, but his teams always lose. He can't uplift his team. Let's just call it what it is.
I totally agree, man.
We can say all this and that, and they get the players around him. But that's true too. But hey, man,
consistency.
Sooner or later, you got to start uplifting your team.
Exactly.
Start demanding stuff.
Let's put it this way, okay? Even spinning off of this, and I just wanted to talk about Mike Trout just because of like the little power surge he went on, because everyone wants to say, oh my God, he was in like the biggest slump of his career. And then like all of a sudden he hits home runs against the Mariners, but people, it's the Mariners. Oh, just so we know, it's T-Mobile Park. Hey,
and they
baseball stadiums change all the time.
Yeah, and they 11 games back.
It's sad. It's sad because you see, here's the way that I look at it, okay? You're paying this guy over like 11 years of fully guaranteed like $400-some million. Now, give granted with California taxes and all that stuff, that's another discussion for another day. But like whenever you hand out that kind of contract, the last thing you need in this world to hear is the Angels wasted Mike Trout's career. Because quite frankly, that's what's starting to happen. It's just like, like even as Mike Trout, okay, you could see all these players that they have lined up in the minor leagues, but there's a difference between how many prospects you have in the minor leagues and how many prospects are major league ready, and then how many of those major league ready prospects can actually come and make an impact with you on the major league roster. And the thing about it, Shohei Ohtani is going to be a free agent. So it's like, but something's going to have to give. Like, it's just, it's bad. It's bad. But, at the end of the day, we're not the Angels organization, but it gives us something to talk about. But I honestly wish it was in a whole different situation because, like, you're right, man. Being 11 games back right now, especially in that division with the Astros, that's like the toughest obstacle in and of itself to come back from because their
season over.
Oh yeah,
it's over.
They might be lucky to get the third wild card spot, but even then,
I don't even know if they're getting that. Team just not no good. I thought they was winning early in the season. It's the same old team.
Yeah. I think
Trout playing good right now, but he's gonna get hurt and miss like another 20, 30 games. It happens every year. He's injury prone. We said about it. In any other sport, we call these players what they are. In baseball, they like to cover it up or dance around. He's injury prone. Let's call it what it is.
Exactly. I don't know how you'd be comfortable with paying this guy what you pay him, and he's like injury prone because they should honestly, like, not that you can predict injuries, but if you can honestly see where a guy can get injured throughout a season and like see the trajectory of that season after season, you should honestly be able to put a clause in the contract that says, man, I get that this is guaranteed, but the fact of the matter is we pay you to produce, and yes, you might produce when you're on the field, but we need you to like not be injury prone and produce versus like producing and be injury prone and then produce again. Like, I think there just needs to be a cutoff there in some extent, but like really can't predict an injury. It's just, it is what it is. It's science, but I wish there was a better way to go about this. But one guy I actually want to talk about, and I know this is, I don't know how much you have followed this guy, but O'Neal Cruz of the Pittsburgh Pirates, people. I mean, I've never seen. I mean, first off, let me say this. I don't even know how this guy's in Major League Baseball. This guy belongs in the NBA. I mean, Lamarr, a 6'7" shortstop.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody tell me about this. Where do you find guys like that?
Yeah. 6'7", 220. Small forward size.
You know what's even scarier is how fast that, like, they were doing like a running metric the other day with him, how he covers like 38 feet or whatever, or they do some kind of metric that I've been trying to like grasp and keep track of. But like they say how he does it in like 38 seconds of pace or 38 feet of pace, and yet the average is like 31. I tell people, like, this is unhuman. Like this guy is hitting the baseball very hard. Like the other day, like half of his exit velocities are over 100 miles an hour, and I'm just like, I mean, is this like a next phenom that like the Pirates really need to like lock down for like the long term? Just be like, we're actually going to keep you and actually build around you, because like at the end of the day, it's like, what gives? I mean, I really kind of feel like it this way. The Pirates have a guy at their disposal that they could really build around. Like, first off, I don't even know the last time I've seen a shortstop past like 6'2" play in the MLB, let alone 6'7". I mean, to be honest with you, to be 6'7" and to have the athleticism that this guy has and the power that he has to be a shortstop, that's scary. I mean, it's beyond scary. But just to see how he's kind of like revitalized, like, and I don't want to get people mixed up here. He didn't have his MLB debut just like 2 days ago, because this guy was called up in the majors last season at the end, and he made his major league debut then, and go figure, in his first at bat, he cracks a home run just to show the people of Pittsburgh the kind of power he has. But I mean, this is really unorthodox. Like I've never seen anything like this. And here I am, just like, I pay attention to the Pirates just because I pay attention to them. I mean, they're the hometown team and whatnot, but it's like, when it comes down to it, you just got to figure to yourself, as a Pirate fan, it's like, okay, I get the hype around this guy. Like, I get that he's shown he can do this and do that. But here's the real domino effect is this a guy that the Pirates are going to keep? Because why should I get my hopes up for this guy if as soon as he gets good or great, the Pirates are just going to trade him? It's just like, what difference does it make? Like, I get that he's great, but like, or he's at least good. He's good enough to be at the major league level, but it's like, why is it that, like, give me a reason to actually be excited? Like, oh, are the Pirates going to build around this guy? It's like, you know what I'm saying? Especially with all these MLB teams, it's like, okay, there's a prospect that comes up and he's great, but I mean, is the team going to build around him, or are they just going to build him up enough to actually, say, man, you're actually great, but yeah, we're going to trade you because we just really don't want to pay you. I mean, I really don't like those kind of owners in that front office kind of ordeal, but it is what it is. I mean, after all, it is a business, and business decisions get made. I mean, what do you think of them, Lamarr?
Looks pretty good. I mean, interesting. Put some life in the Pirate organization, but I mean, see what he do in time. I mean, right now the Pirates losing 14-1 to the Cubs, and,
Yeah.
and the Cubs are not very good to be beating teams 14-1.
You know what? It's kind of funny. It's like, I looked the other day, the Pirates beat them 12-1, and then all of a sudden, like, they're getting crushed. And this is why I don't really get my hopes up for anything, because everyone in Pittsburgh wants to say, oh my God, they called him up, but I'm just like, relax, bro. It's only going to be like 3 good games, and then it's going to go sour real quick, and everyone's going to be back to the same old, same old. It's like, that's literally the vibe here in Pittsburgh with Pirates baseball. It's like, I'm pretty under the assumption that Bob Nutting's philosophy is I'm going to make this team as average to mediocre as possible, but then fulfill all these weekends with free shirt Fridays, dollar dog nights, and Zambelli fireworks or whatever they call it nowadays, Sky Blast, and get people just to come for the sole purpose of the after show entertainment versus the product that I put on the field. It's like, but on the other hand, though, let's talk about a more interesting team in baseball. And Lamarr, I'm actually going to go to you about this because it's the San Francisco Giants. I mean, I will give your Giants credit. They beat the Pirates, and it don't have to be good or bad. They flat out beat them, and I'm gonna just leave that to you because I knew that was gonna happen. I'm actually shocked that the Pirates took a game from the Giants, knowing how hot the Giants have been. But yeah, man, I get it still early in the season, but you know how the West Coast, how the West Division is in baseball, very competitive, especially in the NL. One of those teams is going to die down, though, and I don't want to say I'm praying it's the Padres, but I really want to see a Dodgers-Giants, go at it because I know it's always going to happen, but I think that sometime, soon, it's really going to be, you're going to see that battle. Yeah.
Yeah, I took 2 out of 3 from the Pirates. Wanted to get a sweep, but that didn't happen. Playing the Braves right now. Giants had a 3-1 lead in the 9th inning, and the Braves came back and tied it. So it's 3-3, bottom 9. Braves got a run on first and it's 1 out. So, I mean, Giants are doing good right now. I just want to see what happens. When everybody get healthy, Giants going to have some difficult roster decisions to make. They got this kid, Luis Gonzalez. He's looking like a everyday player to me. He left-handed batter, plays against left-handers. Giants have got many players that can play against left-handers, but I've been talking about sending him down once everybody got healthy, which I can't understand. He's one of your better hitters, and you want to send him down. But that's what happens. You pay Darren Ruff give him a little bit of money, and got all these other players you got stuff into. But yeah, it's gonna be some tough different decisions to make in the next couple of weeks.
Actually, let's play a pivotal role off of that because I like where he actually went with that because it's important to note that the Giants are not fully healthy right now. They are missing players out of their lineup, like you have noted before. But if you were to put yourself in those shoes as a manager or a general manager, do you think that makes the job interesting or difficult with the fact that, hey, if I have a fully healthy roster and some of the guys that I've called up are actually really proving that, hey, man, they really belong here. What would you say should be a decision factor in okay, who should get to stay versus who should actually go back down?
I think this guy brought up, showed he doing good work for a long period of time, and the guy that you've been hurt is mediocre at best. I think you got to try to move the guy that's mediocre, see if you can trade him or DFA him. You got to affect these gamble, man. You can't. They sent this guy Gonzalez down already once when he's batting 330, 340. Sent him down once. Some players got hurt, come back up. Now he's batting about, 280, 290. But, I mean, he got to approach at the plate. He makes contact. He gets big hits. Man, he going, oh, sorry, son, we got to send you back down. And at that point, his confidence been shattered.
Mm-hmm.
And you mess with these hitters, mess with these players go up and down, it messes up their rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take you back to last year. Me and my buddy at work, Lamont Wade Jr., killing the baseball. Sent him down for about a week because somebody came back healthy. Sent him down for a week. Somebody else got hurt, brought him back up. Took him about 2 weeks to get his stroke back on the major league level. I mean, these young players, you got to be careful with them, man. They sending them up and down and stuff could mess with their head. That's why I think they waited so long with Bart. So they had, okay, we left you up here long enough struggling. We got to send you down.
I'm a big believer that, okay, if you bring a guy up and he's hot, keep him up there until like that player actually gives you a reason to like send him back down. Because like you said, that messes with the psychological part. It's just like, okay, what happens if I'm not actually like I'm too good for minor league baseball? Like, what happens if I'm just tearing it up in AAA and like you really have like because I'll actually pivot off that and go to O'Neal Cruz because a lot of people were like the only real reason he was down in the minor leagues is because of his defensive mechanics. And I was reading a lot of this stuff about like he plays shortstop and then he plays outfield. And they were talking about how I guess in like 44 games, he made 14 errors at shortstop, and he made a little bit less. He still made errors, but it was maybe a little bit less in the outfield. And I could totally understand that. But I guess where I would go with this is maybe you shouldn't keep guys down in AAA just for the sole purpose of that. Maybe it's for the simple fact that, yeah, he might be making errors, but okay, maybe it's actually time to like bring this guy up to like the major league level because maybe the rest of his development needs to actually take place at the major league level because whenever you're developing the player, you got to look at it this way is there's only so much development that could go into the minor leagues up and through like single A short season, single A long season, and double A and triple A. There's only so much development that could go on down there. And it's also about how good you are at developing players down there. But it's also like there has to be like some sort of like, system that you're following that says, okay, we understand player development, but there's got to be a time where we say, okay, this player is good enough to where like we could bring him up here. And until like he gives us a definitive reason to like send him back down, we got to keep him up because I do know that in the new CBA, I think one of the things that they're going to have to watch out for is how many times they option a player up and back down because after so many times, it's like you're going to have to keep them up on the major league roster. It's going to count as service time. And it's just like, to me, I just feel like in a lot of ways, if you're going to call the guy up, I mean, I'm happy you're calling the guy up, but at the same time, like, until that person gives you a definitive reason, like say they go into a Mike Trout slump like an 0 for 25, yeah, I could see reason to send them down. But like if they're doing what like half these Giants players are doing up in the major leagues that they were once doing in the minor leagues, like there's no reason to send them down. Like you're actually going to really do the complete opposite and mess with their development. And then like to me as a prospective like player in a future MLB draft, I kind of look at that as that's kind of discrediting your credibility as development because like why do you have a guy that's like pounding the daylights out of the ball hitting like 330 at the major league level and you're going to send him down but he was just called up and then like you're going to send him down bring him back up and then all of a sudden like everything's off because you got to realize timing in AAA is different than timing in the major leagues. But if he's hitting at the major league level, shouldn't that tell you that maybe he shouldn't be at AAA? Like he should be at the major league level for a reason. It's just I don't understand that. Like I need to like we need to get more research, maybe like bring someone on to really dive deep into that because like I will forever like be questioning why that occurs. Like I mean, if my guy's hitting 330 at the major league level and he was clearly doing that at AAA, that must tell you that he's like developed, but like he belongs at the major league level. It's just there's no reason to send him down. I don't get that. It's just like that's just a waste of a call up to me. That's a waste of just like having a guy come from AAA to here and then having to go back there because they're like, oh my God, all my hard work finally paid off. I'm at the major league level, and it's like, wait, what did I do wrong? Like I'm up here and I'm hitting, like I'm actually doing what you want me to do, and that's produced. Like, why are you sending me back down? But then it's like I kind of feel in the opposite way. Guys that are injured, like instead of sending them on a 5-game rehab assignment where they might go like 3 for 25 or whatever, just because they're a major league player with a major league contract, like you should be able to really go in there and say, okay, actually show me that you're like rehabbing by like doing something you would actually do at the major league level in AAA, and actually like show me, yeah, the rehab process is working. Don't just say, yeah, we're just going to send you down there for like 3 to 4 games and, you could just do whatever and we'll bring you up. Like, it just, to me, it doesn't make sense, because some of these guys in minor leagues, they are top prospects for a reason, and they're hungry to prove themselves, but they're hungry to show they are that prospect. And whenever they're finally at the major league level, it's like, man, I'm finally at this show. Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
I can't believe I really just made a dive into that. But, like, it proves a logical point. It's just like, it's like I tell people, a lot of people are like, what developmental reasons for O'Neal Cruz? And I'm just like, well, I could see where they're coming from. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself, okay, because that's just like everybody wanted to like go at Yasiel Puig, and I could see why. But the thing is I think the Dodgers kind of did it too prematurely. Is they allowed the man to make so many mistakes at the major league level instead of like developing him in the minors. And I think that's really just what hindered a lot of his progress. You really just got to ask yourself, like, is that really worth it? And I think it really all goes back to credibility with player development. Like, all right, if this guy's really doing good here, why are you sending him back down? And then, like, if he starts getting to a drought in the minor leagues, it's like, okay, what was the purpose of that move in the first place? Like, I'm always a firm believer. I'm not going to send the guy down unless you actually, like, he gives me a reason to send him down. Like, until he shows me I actually can't do this, then I send him down. But if my man's hitting 330 and above, or hey, if any prospect from the minor leagues comes to the major league level and hits 300 and above, I'm going to just be like, listen, until you prove to me that you're going to go into the biggest slump of your life, you're on the major league roster. Until then, like, have the injured guy go and like make a rehab assignment that's actually a rehab assignment that's worth it, and then be like, okay, but I get you're the major league guy on the major league contract, but you're injured. Actually, come show me you're better than this guy now, and like show me consistently. That way, it's like, but I got to make the tough decision, because it's like, what do you think it feels like to actually make that tough decision? But like, if you were like the GM or like the owner, and just say like, okay, if it came down to one thing, maybe it's not that he's in a slump, but if it's that one factor that like is like, okay, this is what we see you could use a little bit more work on down in the minor leagues, what would that be?
Guys killing it in the major leagues. I don't know what he could need to work on the minor leagues as of right now. I mean, but a lot of it come down. Most of it come down to what player got options, and some players don't got no options. You have to DFA somebody that they might not want to DFA, so that's why they send them down, because they got options to go down and come back. It's like a catch-22. You don't whatever move you make could be wrong.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I think ties a lot of ball clubs up, is it comes down to who has options, who doesn't. But it's more importantly is like, but then you also kind of have to think in the back of your mind, okay, is optioning this person to AAA to actually work on this really worth it? Or could they just work on it and like just not playing a couple games up here, just like spend time working on those mechanics? Because, this could be a future topic for the podcast. This is what all goes into it, but more importantly, how much do you really develop in the minor leagues compared to how much development you actually do at the major league level? Because like, it's really sought after to talk about, because like I've been to minor league teams before. Like, I've seen minor league baseball. I really haven't seen enough to like actually like speak on that, but I could say that, to be honest with you, minor league baseball is fun and it has some intriguing baseball players. It's just there's only so many spots in the major league roster for players to do, and it comes down to who are the 25 best men that I got to field on a ball club, but more importantly, who just who's going to be consistent and who's going to like live up to what it is. But I mean, I agree. I would hate to see some of those Giants get sent back down, but you know the organization the best. Not and if it happens, it's going to be unfortunate. But in my opinion, if I were the Giants front office, I would look at it as, is this really going to help them or is this really going to hurt them? And if so, it's just like maybe a future topic could even be like, why does the organization do this? Is it because they really think it might hurt them? And then all of a sudden, oh, that's another excuse for them to actually really be down in AAA or in the minor leagues because, okay, that's one less option we actually use, but it's more time for them to be down there versus up at the major league level. I mean, it's just we see it a lot of times. I know that the Pirates, they DFA'd somebody like a week or so ago, and it might have been a little bit more than a week ago. I think it was a catcher. I forget his name. But dude refused to be DFA'd, so he's a free agent. And, you just really got to ask yourself sometimes, do guys really want to be DFA'd, or is it like more like, you know what, if you do that, you might as well just release me because there's no point.
Yeah.
There is no point. Well, with that will wrap up this week's edition of the MLB Inside the Diamond podcast. I'd like to thank my partner, Lamarr Fields, for his time and talking some shortstops. It was a great time, and also talking a little bit about baseball. We already know the Giants are just going to become a wrecking ball. The Pirates just I was just looking at the Giants.
Yeah, just lost this game. Been leading 3-1 in the ninth and lost 4-3.
Oh yeah, but
that's a bad loss.
Oh, it is. It is. But whenever I really, you know what? Though, I really wouldn't. It's hard to say. I could consider that a bad loss, but it was against the Braves, who have just been tearing it up. But anyways, that's going to do it for us. We'll be back next week with another edition of the MLB Inside the Diamond podcast.